Have you thought this through?
No way will that work.
Are you sure? Is there any money in that?
You'll never make any money doing that. How are you going to pay the mortgage? Just get a job.
You're going to try to sell that? Why can't you be normal like everybody else?
All right. Were your parents morons too?
The savvy entrepreneur to the rescue.
Congratulations. That really turned out well.
Really good job.
I'm going to admit it. I'm surprised.
You know, I wish I thought of that.
I never thought anyone would. How did you do that?
I'm so glad you're pursuing your dreams. I wish I had the courage to follow my dreams.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Savvy Entrepreneur Show. If you're an entrepreneur or a small business person, or you're thinking about becoming one, listen up because this show is for you. I'm Doris Nagel, your host for the next hour. I'm a crazy entrepreneur myself, and I've counseled lots of startups and small businesses over the past 30 years, as well as had friends that I talk to who are entrepreneurs. So the show has two goals. First, to share helpful information and resources. I have made so many mistakes, it's ridiculous. And, I've seen a lot of mistakes. So if I can help just a couple of you entrepreneurs out there not to make some of those mistakes, then I've been successful. The second goal is to inspire. I found being an entrepreneur is often confusing, lonely. You have no idea sometimes if you're on the right track or where to turn for helpful information. So to help with both of those goals, I have guests on the show every week who are willing to share their stories and their advice. And this week, I am blessed to have not just one, but two guests with me on the show this week. Joining me from Michigan are Keri Amlotte, who's the Director of Marketing at an organization called 20 Fathoms, which we'll learn more about, as well as Jennifer Szunko, who is the Executive Director of TCNewTech, another organization we'll hear about. They are two of the organizers of the upcoming Northern Michigan Startup Week, which is the feature of our program this week. So Jennifer and Keri, welcome to the show, ladies. Thanks for being on The Savvy Entrepreneur.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, glad to be here.
It's always interesting to hear all the different things that are happening for entrepreneurs around the Midwest, and I'm happy to see there are more and more activities. Talk a little bit about the upcoming Northern Michigan Startup Week. Where and when is it being held?
It's happening in Traverse City, kicking off Monday, May 9th. And then running for a full week, wrapping up the following Sunday and May 15th. We have a whole week of events happening around startups, entrepreneurship, and innovation right in Traverse City in Northern Michigan. It's being held at venues around Traverse City, depending on the events. We have a few happening at Northwestern Michigan Community College. We have a few happening at this beautiful old theater called the City Opera House in downtown Traverse City, and then a couple other locations as well.
Well, talk about how this event came to be. Am I correct? This is kind of the inaugural event?
Yes, it is. Yeah, we hope it will be the first of many to come, making it an annual event. And two of the heads of two different organizations here in Traverse City that we're working with, they actually had a startup weekend, a Techstars startup weekend back in 2014. And last summer, they decided to grow this to a week-long event and include several other nonprofits from Traverse City that all working in the same ecosystem.
Well, so how, talk about the kind of the idea for this. Is this a kind of a community outpouring? Is this just a reflection of more and more entrepreneurial businesses in the area? Focus from the universities, kind of a combination of all the above?
Well, one of the reasons we decided to do it again this year Well, since that initial event in 2014, there's been significant growth in our local startup and entrepreneurship ecosystem in our region. Jennifer's organization, TCNewTech, started. My organization started. We have a broader and stronger ecosystem working with entrepreneurs and founders. And so we have a lot more to celebrate. We have a lot more to talk about. We have more people in our region involved. We're truly growing this cohesive network of entrepreneurs in Northern Michigan. And, after coming out of the last couple of years, it just seemed like this year was a really good time to reconnect and to celebrate all the accomplishments that have happened over the last years, and to kind of toot our horn for what's happening in Northern Michigan that a lot of people, for instance, in Chicago might not know. I mean, you think of Traverse City, you think of the Sleeping Bear Dunes and the cherries and the wine tasting, and we definitely have all that, but we want your listeners to think about what's happening in Traverse City beyond that, and how it's a place to live and to grow your business there.
Well, you mentioned the term ecosystem. So, that's kind of funny. We talked before the show about how Michigan has really been focused on building an ecosystem, and so has Wisconsin. Other states, though, don't talk as much about it. When you talk about ecosystem, what are you, for startups, what are you talking about?
I think when we refer to an ecosystem, we're talking about all the various components that are working together to help entrepreneurs, whether it's to cultivate an idea, an invention, an innovation, a service, or if it's maybe they're farther down the timeline and they are looking for funding. So we bring all those components together, and that makes the ecosystem, if you will, for a startup or an entrepreneur. So it's bringing all the components together.
Well, I certainly applaud that. I mean, I think I alluded to that in the intro to the show. I personally found being an entrepreneur very confusing sometimes. And, anything that makes it easier for entrepreneurs to network with each other, to find the right resources. And the problem isn't usually, right, that there aren't resources. The problem is finding those resources. It sometimes takes a bit of digging, right?
Yeah, and maybe it's because we are a smaller town. It makes it easier for us to know one another, work together. And, we have a little bit of an overlap sometimes. So we try to keep with our mission, keep with our focus, and work alongside of all the other organizations that are out there in our area to help entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
We do work together. Jennifer and I work together regularly, making introductions and referrals to one another as we meet people, entrepreneurs who are looking for, like you said, they have an idea, they're getting their business going, but sometimes you don't know what you don't know.
Absolutely.
So they reach out and are looking for introductions, and we can make introductions to mentorship organizations, to investors, Jennifer runs pitch competitions every month. I have a co-working space. We also, we have this very strong local ecosystem, but we also have a lot of connections around the state of Michigan, like you mentioned, working with some research universities that are moving some more work into Traverse City. We have strong relationships with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation out of our state capital. So we're able to make a lot of those connections, and we're working to, help make those introductions and help remove barriers for founders.
Well, I'm guessing a lot of those connections, or at least a good chunk of them, will be participating in Startup Week. So circling back to that, I'm curious, who are the participants of Startup Week, and what kind of businesses and people are you hoping, or are you already attracting to the event?
So Startup Week, Northern Michigan Startup Week, is hosted by, it's truly a community collaborative. There's a lot of people involved making this happen. It is not owned by one specific organization. So it's hosted by 20 Fathoms, my organization, TCNewTech, which Jennifer is executive director of, also our local angel, investment group, Northern Michigan Angels, and then an organization called Newton's Road, which increases access to STEM education. We also we have funding from Boomerang Catapult, our local venture capital firm, as well as Haggerty Insurance. We are working closely with Northwestern Community College, as well as our SCORE mentorship program. So there's a lot of people who came together to make this happen. And then we have speakers coming in. We have people coming in from around the state. Right now, we have registrations from everywhere from Houghton at the very tip top of the Upper Peninsula down to the Ann Arbor, Lansing, Grand Rapids area. So, I mean, it's a Northern Michigan event, but we have generated a lot of interest throughout the state of Michigan to all these events.
Well, that's great. It sounds like an amazing kind of confluence of resources and a wonderful opportunity for people who are starting out with their businesses, or even people thinking about starting out. Are there certain kinds of businesses that Startup Week that the event is trying to attract, or really just anybody who's interested in entrepreneurship?
Well, as you know, Traverse City is a great tourist destination. And that makes us rather seasonal. So although we're open to any kind of startups, we really do try to focus on tech or any industry that is scalable and has potential to create year-round jobs and family-sustaining wages.
Yeah. Well, it certainly is a lovely place to live. I'm guessing I've visited there, as we talked about before the show, quite a few times. What a lovely place. And so, if I had the opportunity to work for a great company and could live in that kind of livable, but so many available resources and so much to do outside, as well as just a wonderful place to be, I think that would be pretty attractive for a lot of people.
We are starting to draw a lot from the coasts, high tech people, and although Traverse City is considered rural, because we only have a population of about 16,000, we actually have the third busiest airport in the whole state.
How is that?
Well, because of tourism and also because of business, we have a lot of remote workers coming here. And I think through the pandemic, people really realized what a great option it is to be able to live here, even if you're working somewhere else.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, there are a lot of places you could live, but Traverse City is a pretty nice. For those of you who haven't been there, you should make arrangements to make a trek there and check it out, because it is a lovely place. And in the summertime, the weather, for the most part, is absolutely glorious. Talk about some of the key events coming up during Northern Michigan Startup Week. It's several days, but there's quite a few different events. Do you want to highlight maybe some of those events that people should be aware of?
Yeah, I can tell you about the first part of the week, and then I'll turn it over to Jennifer to finish up on the week. So the week starts, like I said, on Monday, May 9th, with Space Night. So we're bringing in Space Night, yes.
As in like NASA space?
I'm sorry?
Like NASA space?
Yeah, NASA space.
Wow.
We're bringing in leaders from around Michigan who work in the space industry. And I mean, I never, honestly, until I got into this, had no idea how much space innovation was happening in Michigan. We're bringing in what they're calling astropreneurs. You can't see right now my air quotes, but it's astronaut entrepreneurs, the people who are have started businesses and are working to advance technology related to space, one of which is located right in Traverse City, Atlas Space. Atlas Space, which is partnering with us on the event and helping them. Their founder is speaking. They're helping to bring in others as well. So that's 2 different panel discussions that we're hosting on Monday night. Is for anybody interested in the space industry and wanting to learn more about the latest innovation in space. It's specifically high school students. So that one is being hosted by Newton's Road, which is the STEM education group that I mentioned earlier. And so they're inviting local high school students to check it out and learn about career opportunities in space that you might not think about.
Wow, that sounds very cool.
Yeah.
What else is happening?
Well, I should mention that most of these events are live streamed. So even for your listeners who are not able to get up to Traverse City, we are live streaming. So you can learn about the space industry without coming to Traverse City if you're not able to make it. So
I just wanted to interject. Is there a fee to attend these, or is there one conference fee, or are there certain events that have charges?
That's a great question. It varies by event. Most of our events are free to attend. Space Night is free to attend.
Cool. That sounds great. Jennifer, I'm sorry. I think I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
No, that's fine. I'll let Keri explain the next couple nights.
So that's Monday. Tuesday night, we've got an investors event. It's for specifically about angel investments. We're bringing together those who are interested in learning more about angel investing, both from the investment side as well as from the founder side. We have a couple investors who will be speaking about their experience there, and it'll be a smaller, more intimate event to ask questions and learn about angel investment and how that supports the local startup ecosystem.
Yeah, boy, I get a lot of people. You mentioned SCORE earlier on, and I actually have been affiliated with SCORE for a while. I was a mentor for a while, and now I'm a subject matter expert. But one of the questions when I mentored regularly that I got, people who start up businesses are fixated for the most part on funding, because most of them realize that whatever their dream was, you can bootstrap it, but it takes often a long time. Sometimes people who have great ideas are not even in a place to be able to bootstrap things. And most entrepreneurs are pretty focused on how to find funding, and angel investors is one of the first places they turn. So I'm going to guess that session is going to be pretty well attended and pretty interesting.
Yeah, and there's a lot to learn about fundraising if you're a first-time entrepreneur as well. It's a whole different world.
Yeah.
Then on Wednesday, 20 Fathoms is hosting we're just having a big party. So we're inviting everybody interested in entrepreneurship and the local startup ecosystem to a big party where we're going to be showcasing some of members of our local startup ecosystem. We're going to be doing an awards recognition, recognizing some of the key contributors to our ecosystem over the past couple of years. And it's kind of the big social event of the week to have some fun. We're going to have good food, good drinks, good music, and an opportunity to meet a lot of new people.
Yeah, it sounds like a great networking event. Yeah. So Jennifer, what are some of the other events?
Well, Thursday of that week, May 12th, TCNewTech is hosting the University Idea Showcase. And it's a competition between universities from throughout the state of Michigan that are bringing their best ideas to the stage. And each of the student groups will have 5 minutes to pitch their ideas, and then they'll have 5 minutes to answer questions. There'll be a panel of judges determining who is to win the cash prizes for first, second, and third place. And then the audience will also vote using a text app that will also give them another prize. And we have a trophy that they'll be able to take home. And it's very exciting. We've got so far committed Michigan State, Central Michigan University, U of M, Western Michigan University, Michigan Tech. So universities from all over the state coming in, and hopefully people will come and show their colors and celebrate their school, get behind the students.
That's really fun. I know that certainly in Illinois and Michigan, more and more universities are, have launched and are growing programs specific for entrepreneurs. Is that the case in Michigan as well with universities?
Yeah, we're finding that almost all the universities have an entrepreneurial program, and often they're tied to venture capital group that can help with funding. They're tied to an accelerator program that gives mentoring. So the ideas that are coming from these students are very high level. Some of them are, they could be generating revenue before they even graduate college. It's really impressive what the schools are offering now. Yeah.
Well, I have to admit, I'm just pea green with jealousy because I wish that some programs like that had existed when I went through the university. It might have changed my career trajectory entirely. And so if those of you, I know there are students who listen into this show, if you haven't already checked out your local university to find programs like that, they can really give you a shot of self-confidence, help you develop some of the skills, and help find resources that can really be game changers for your lives and your business ideas. I want to talk about, for Jennifer, are there other events you wanted to mention?
Yeah, actually, we have a couple more. So Friday night is a student pitch event, but it's high school students and NMC, our Northwestern Michigan College right here in Traverse City. Those students have been working all year on their ideas, and they'll be pitching them to a panel of judges as well. But also happening on Friday night, it's the kickoff of the TechStars Startup Weekend. Now, this is where there could be as many as 75 participants. They come in, they either bring their own ideas or they get on someone's team that has presented an idea, and they spend the next 2 days working on developing a business plan and the ideas, and really honing in on that innovation or business idea that was brought out on Friday night. So they divide up into teams. They work all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and then Sunday night, they will pitch their ideas to the panel of judges and the audience. So it's for people who maybe, like you said, they have an interest in becoming entrepreneurs, or they have an interest in new ideas that are out there. So they can either join on Sunday night in the audience, or they can come and get locked in for this hackathon, if you might call it that.
Sounds like almost like a mini boot camp.
Yeah.
So talk just for a minute about TechStars. I think probably a lot of people have heard of TechStars, but maybe for those people who haven't or aren't aware of what TechStars in Michigan is up to, do you want to spend just a second talking about that?
Sure. Yeah, that's a global initiative. There are any city can apply to host a TechStars Startup Weekend, and they really help you to put on a great program. They give you the resources that you need. They help promote it. So it's a well-run program, and we're really excited to be able to partner with them and bring that to Traverse City.
Yeah. Keri, I mentioned before you're the director of marketing at 20 Fathoms. Talk for just a minute about your background and how you came to be affiliated with 20 Fathoms, maybe a little bit also about what 20 Fathoms does and offers, and your mission and some of the services you offer.
Sure. So my background is in communications and marketing. I worked in several different industries. I worked in healthcare most recently before being at 20 Fathoms. I also worked in conservation as well as at a law firm for quite a while. Is where I actually started my career in legal marketing. Working at 20 Fathoms was actually my first job specifically in the startup space, but I consider myself to be entrepreneurial minded. And kind of one of the threads that ran through all those other jobs was working at companies that were, they may have been established companies, but they were growing quickly or building something new. And then I was managing the communications and marketing around those evolving programs. So I came to 20 Fathoms in April 2020. I always like to say I interviewed for my job in person in the first week of March 2020. And then by the time I started my job, I started my job in April, the whole world had changed.
Wow.
Our co-working space was shut down. Everything was shut down, and I found myself marketing a co-working space during a pandemic, which was... It was pretty interesting, and Jennifer can share her experience wasn't too different actually. But so it's been very interesting starting when I did. But 20 Fathoms, going back a little bit, started in 2018. So we had been around for 18 months, and we're really starting to gain some momentum when the pandemic hit. But we started after the success built around Jennifer's organization, TCNewTech. There was a realization that there was this kind of growing center of gravity in Traverse City of tech professionals and entrepreneurs, and that we needed a place, a location for them to gather. So 20 Fathoms was founded as a co-working space and a startup incubator to bring people together and bring resources together and bring knowledge together, bring networking opportunities together to help these people advance their businesses and their careers.
Wow. Well, I'm sure it must be really exciting to finally feel like we're starting to come back and to see people in the space and interacting and sharing ideas, kind of fulfilling the vision, right?
It really is. I mean, I'll be honest, that first year I was there was pretty tough, but starting last spring, we just all of a sudden saw these people coming back in, and they were ready to reconnect. They had gotten vaccinated and were ready to get back out there more than ever. And at that same time, there were more and more people moving to Traverse City because they had realized, you could work remotely and live in the place that you love. So they're moving to Traverse City. We had a really busy summer last year, and we're gearing up to have a busy summer in Traverse City again this year. I think we're coming out definitely stronger than ever. So, and we're really proud of that.
I'm sure you are, and rightfully so. Jennifer, talk a little bit about your background. How did you come to the entrepreneurial world, and how did you come to TCNewTech? What does TCNewTech do, and how did it get started?
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about my background first. I never worked in tech really, but I always had an interest in new technology and new ideas. I'm really passionate about working with entrepreneurs and hearing their stories. So I was an attendee at TCNewTech in the audience right from the beginning. They launched in 2015. We had anywhere from 150 to 200 people showing up at our events every month.
Wow.
So it was great energy, and I loved hearing about new ideas. I pitched a couple of new ideas. And then, at the end of 2019, I was in the audience, and the founder, Russ Schindler, said, "We're looking for an executive director part-time. Is there anybody that would be interested in applying?" So, of course, I raised my hand. I wanted to be a part of the organization.
That kind of stuff never happens, Jennifer.
Well, there's
but
a little
it does. That's great.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a process, but I came on board in February of 2020, right before Keri started at 20 Fathoms. I was starting at TCNewTech. So I did one in-person pitch event. I think we had about 180 people attending.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah. And then a week later, everything was shut down, and we had 3 weeks to figure out how to pivot to a virtual event.
Well, I'm curious from both of your perspectives. You're both with organizations supporting entrepreneurs that had to really deal with the heart of the pandemic. I mean, so what changed? What opportunities did you find in terms of pivoting and doing things virtually?
I'm going to let Jennifer answer that one first, because she did an incredible job moving this very, very vibrant in-person event to a virtual event.
Well, thank you, Keri. And one thing that was really important with our organization was networking, trying to figure out a way to keep the networking energy high, and also have, good presenters every month.
Yeah.
And it was a little easier to get presenters because they could pitch from their home. They didn't have to come and get on stage.
Right. Even if they were in New York or San Francisco, they could appear and be part of your program, which is exciting.
Yeah, exactly. And I worked with 20 Fathoms to develop a pitch perfect program that we ran the week before every virtual event, so that these presenters could have some mentorship about their pitch and some help with developing their ideas and sharing their stories. So that helped to really create a good program. And we had to, really get more involved in the marketing of our event, because it was no longer just word of mouth. We had to go out and seriously do some marketing to keep the attendance high, which we did. Our recorded events have had over 10,000 views on YouTube.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah. So we were able to reach a wider audience. We had a presenter from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, Marquette, Michigan, presenting. And after the next day, she was contacted by a venture capital group out of Chicago.
Wow.
So that didn't really happen. And now we've been able to maintain those connections, grow our audience, which has been good, and help out a lot of entrepreneurs along the way.
Are you finding your reach has extended even beyond Michigan as a result of this?
Yeah, definitely. When we look at the analytics, we have people watching from all over the all over the country. And it's been really helpful for the entrepreneurs are looking for funding.
Well, funding and even ideas. One of the challenges I found as a SCORE mentor is that, there's a certain number of people, right, who want to start a restaurant. And it's pretty easy to find people in the network who have some kind of restaurant experience, just as one example. But people come up with really amazing ideas, and it is not easy to find someone sometimes who has that specific experience. And, just one personal story, I have a radio show and I've been looking for ways to monetize it. It's not easy to find someone who has radio broadcasting experience with syndication or selling radio spots, building internet radio stations. That's pretty specific, and I'm not unique. There are folks out there with pretty specific ideas, and it may not be that easy to find somebody in your backyard that has that kind of experience and is willing to give you a helping hand and help out and mentor.
That's true. And that's why we work together with so many organizations here and throughout Michigan to, hopefully expose our entrepreneurs and startups to the resources that they need. TCNewTech started in 2015 when our founder, Russ Schindler, was starting up his company, Sample Serve. He needed programmers. He knew they were out there, but he didn't know how to connect with them. So he launched this event just to bring out the programmers that might be interested in the new technology. Then he started inviting investors. So suddenly he had different groups of investors that were investing in companies. And now his company, from 2015 to now, he's now grown it to a $7 million company.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, let's circle back and talk about the ecosystem a little bit. Even though the pandemic was going on, it sounds like there were still efforts to continue to build the ecosystem in Michigan. How has the startup ecosystem evolved and changed over the past few years?
Well, last year, Crunchbase published an article listing Michigan as the fastest growing state for venture investment.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's great.
There's a lot of growing interest in what's happening in Michigan. There's Ann Arbor has a very strong research center coming out of the University of Michigan. The west side of the state does as well. Michigan Tech in the Upper Peninsula is a strong engineering school. So there's pieces around the state that have been building this for a while. As I mentioned earlier, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation over the past couple of years has really increased their focus on entrepreneurship as well and supporting that throughout the state. They're a great partner of ours. So we're working to build that in Traverse City. And I think the other thing that's happening that was fueled by the pandemic that we talked about a little bit before was that as this is starting to grow anyway, all of a sudden, if you want to start a business, you don't need to be in Silicon Valley to connect with investors anymore.
Right.
Because beginning 2 years ago, investors started doing all their meetings online anyway.
Yeah.
So you can live where you want to live in more affordable locations, where, it might be more of a family-friendly environment and this just nice small-town community in northern Michigan and still get that work done. And so,
not to mention the cost of living.
Yeah.
I'm sure your housing dollar goes a lot farther, even though it's a tourist center, and I'm sure it's not the lowest cost place to live by any stretch, but still, in comparison to major urban areas, I'm sure your housing dollar goes a lot farther. I'm curious too, have you seen that the Great Quit, and there's been a lot written about, not only about the Great Quit, the Great Resignation, whatever you want to call it, people, particularly younger people, with wanting more from their career, wanting more from their lives. There certainly seems to be, numbers-wise, a lot of people interested in starting their own business. Have you seen that in Michigan, and specifically in northern Michigan too?
Yeah, I think anytime there's any kind of a shift in the economy, there seems to be renewed interest in people starting their own businesses. And it's been interesting to see the increase in venture capital and angel investors into the entrepreneurial scene and the small startup. So I think we're in a great position here in Traverse City because we do offer some of the things that are needed, like connectivity through the airport service and through fiber internet service and affordable housing, although it sometimes feels that might not be affordable for the service people that are working here, but it is much less expensive to live here than in a bigger city.
I'm sure those complaints would simmer down quite a bit if they took a little real estate tour in the northern suburbs of Chicago, or anywhere really, on the Lake Michigan coast on the other side between Chicago and Milwaukee. It's been pretty shocking.
Yeah, it's true. It's happening everywhere.
Yeah. What do you think needs to be done to continue to build the ecosystem in Michigan, and specifically in northern Michigan? Where are the opportunities to continue to grow it, do you think? Keri, do you want to start out with that?
Yeah, you mentioned the Great Resignation earlier. Like everywhere else in the country, some of our local companies are having a hard time finding developers and other highly qualified tech talent. 20 Fathoms is actually trying to help ease that burden. We have a workforce development program in addition to the startup work we do. But for the workforce development program, we work specifically with local employers to learn about what their needs are as far as tech talent, specifically what kind of skills are they looking for, what experience level are they looking for. And then we provide education and resources around that so that people in our community who are interested in getting into tech or who are interested in learning new skills can take our programming, can take our workshops to gain those skills, to give them access to those local jobs, which the employers need the people need the jobs. So we started that a few years ago. It was funded by a grant through the state of Michigan from our Labor and Employment Office. And we trained 200 people in the first iteration of the program. And we received a renewal of that grant and are right now working with our local employers again to go back and touch base and learn about what they need now so we can develop the next phase of the program. So that's just one small example of what we're doing in Northern Michigan. But I do think a key piece of it is continuing to provide more training and opportunities in tech, because every company needs developers these days. Everybody needs an IT department. So there's just so many more opportunities.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that. My daughter is a statistics major and she's had to learn a lot of programming. And she said to me not too long ago, she goes, "Mom, I went to this highly ranked high school, but they never taught me any programming. Why? I need to have that. Why didn't anybody tell me that so that I could have found maybe some more resources, some online courses, why wasn't there coding at my high school, And
I think that's in Traverse City, one of the things that we were talking earlier about the ecosystem and how we're these different organizations working together. We're working closely with our high school. We're working closely with our community college called NMC, and they've been really great about open to new ideas to create an entrepreneurship program and to onboard more coding, both that they can offer to high school students and also to the students that are enrolled at NMC.
Yeah, I personally believe that any high school that's not really looking at trying to reinvent themselves a little bit to help students for the future with the skills that they need should really look in the mirror and look at the demographics and look at how our world is changing to really help students with different kinds of career paths, right? I'm curious, what do you think a successful ecosystem looks like? I mean, for startups, what are the things that make an ecosystem particularly successful, do you think, Jennifer?
Well, I think, first of all, you need a ideation. You need a place where people can share their ideas and be comfortable with the fact that, there's value there. There's real prospect in that idea, or maybe there's not. But a place where people can share ideas, you need that. You need a platform to bring everybody together. Then you need all the rest of the steps along the way. You need a co-working space. You need mentors. You need resources for funding. You need a place for talent attraction. And I think I know that the reason that Traverse City's ecosystem is growing and healthy is because we have all those components and we all work together really well to support one another.
Yeah. Well, the fact that you're both here together tells me volumes right there. What are some of the other events that are planned for this year for Northern Michigan? Do either of you want to just take a minute to look ahead beyond Northern Michigan Startup Week?
Yeah, I can tell you a little bit about TCNewTech. I mean, we hold a pitch event the first Tuesday of every month. And you can either watch it in person at the City Opera House in downtown Traverse City, or you can catch it on any of our social media channels and watch it live or recorded. So we have that coming up twice a year. We do what's called Bar Napkin, and May is our next one. May
Bar
3rd.
napkin.
Bar Napkin idea pitch. So these are those crazy ideas that you just, have you think, hey, why doesn't someone invent such and such? So instead of a full 5-minute presentation, you just get up, you have 1 minute to share your idea and see if there's anybody in the audience that wants to collaborate. So
that's fun.
It's a really fun night. We do that in May and we do it again in December. Then we, just continue with looking for entrepreneurs or innovators or inventors that want to share their ideas every month, and the investors that are in the audience and looking for people to connect with. So we also do a kind of a career fair. It's called North Coast Homecoming, and we do that over Thanksgiving weekend. Thanksgiving Eve is a huge night for bar goers. So we host an event. It's sort of a career fair. It's all the opportunities that are available in Traverse City, a couple free drinks and some appetizers. So we've been doing that for about 5 years, and it's a place for those that are coming back to visit family, boomeranging back, can go and connect with the local business community.
Fun. Tell me about a success or two that's come out of all the work that you've done.
Well, we have quite a few. And what's really cool is they start out pitching their idea at TCNewTech. And then quite often they move over and they kind of graduate and move over to 20 Fathoms, where they can get, more mentorship. They can use the office space. They can find talent there.
One good example I like to share is Hybrid Robotics. They are a robotics company that does underwater inspection and monitoring. And that actually, that company was born actually in an engineering class at our community college. A few students there were working on an engineering project and had this idea and started tinkering with it and building the business. And then, like Jennifer said, they went and they pitched to TCNewTech, and then they joined 20 Fathoms. That was a few years ago, and they've been growing since then. They've gotten some local investment, and they're off and running now. Also, on the flip side, there's Atlas Space Operations, which is a company that was founded out in California, and they do satellite communications work. And they were founded out in California, but then the founder moved the business to Traverse City a few years ago. Again, they came into the 20 Fathom Startup Incubator and had their first office space out of our office. And then they scaled quickly. They graduated from our incubator, and they've now got their own beautiful space, and they're hiring more people locally.
And they're co-hosts of our Space Night during Northern Michigan Startup Week.
Yep. Oh, very cool. Very cool. Well, before we wrap up, I want to make sure you both have an opportunity to talk one more time about Northern Michigan Startup Week. Remind listeners, maybe people who didn't tune in at the first part, when the event is happening and how they can find more information about it.
The event happens May 9th through May 15th. Different event every night for every age, really. We've got young students, we have high school students, we have college students, we have adults, we have investors, we have entrepreneurs. And we have people that just want to hear about new ideas. So there's something for everybody every night. And you can find that on Northern Michigan Startup Week website or on 20 Fathoms website or TCNewTech's website. I'll let Keri give the URL.
The URL is nmsw.co. search Northern Michigan Startup Week. You can also please follow us on Twitter for regular updates. I especially want to encourage people, if you want to, like you said, get that boot camp feeling, or it's kind of like a hackathon, check out Startup Weekend.
Yeah.
It's, Chicago is not far away. It's a short drive up to come spend the weekend in Traverse City and dig into the startup world. We'll have a lot of mentors there. It'll be a lot of fun, a lot of high energy, and a great opportunity to meet new people and think about what it takes to become a successful entrepreneur.
I think I noticed on your website you've got a block of rooms reserved at local hotels with some attractive rates if people want to attend in person, but you can also attend virtually a lot of these events too, right?
Yes, most of the events will be live streaming, and there are links to view the live stream from our website.
Yeah, so check out the website, check out the agenda. Even those of you who may not be able to make it in person, but it sounds like it's going to be just a week full of fun and lots of great learnings and lots of great networking opportunities if you can make your way to Traverse City for the week or even part of the week. And one last thing, too. I know the two of you represent two of the key organizers and supporters of Northern Michigan Startup Week, 20 Fathoms, and TCNewTech, but I want each of you to have a chance to, to tell people how to connect with your organizations to learn more, or maybe even reach out to one or both of you personally to network, get more information. Shoot the breeze, as I say with people, because I'm sure that's what entrepreneurs feed off of a lot of times, especially early on, right?
Yeah, we really welcome anybody that wants to connect with us. And for TCNewTech, we're a nonprofit, and you can find us at tcnewtech.org. You can also find me, Jennifer Szunko. There aren't a lot of us, spelled Szunko, but you can find me on LinkedIn pretty easily.
And Keri, what about you and 20 Fathoms?
20 Fathoms is also a nonprofit. If anybody wants to learn more about moving to Traverse City, growing your business in Traverse City, what startup resources are available, please reach out. Our website is 20fathoms.org. You can connect with me through our website or connect with me on LinkedIn as well. I am also the one and only Keri Amlotte.
Wow. Well, Keri and Jennifer, thank you so much for being with me today on the Savvy Entrepreneur Show. It was a delight having you and learning more about all the exciting doings and events coming up in the Traverse City, Northern Michigan area. So thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you, Doris. Well, I hope we see you up here in Traverse City soon.
I hope so too. I think it sounds like a blast. I love the way you've mixed not only education but fun into, very, very thoughtfully woven fun into the events, which I think is it's really important, because being an entrepreneur is a lot of work and it's scary, but it's also a lot of fun. And, you just learn so much along the way. So thanks again to my guest this week, Keri Amlotte, the Director of Marketing at an organization called 20 Fathoms, based in Traverse City, as well as Jennifer Szunko, who is the Executive Director of TCNewTech, another startup and entrepreneurial organization based in Northern Michigan and the Traverse City area. Now, thanks so much for listening to all my listeners. You're the reason I do this. You can find more helpful information and resources on my consulting website, globalocityservices.com, as well as I've finally done it, taken the plunge and created a dedicated show page called thesavvyentrepreneur.org. You'll find there a library, increasingly on the Savvy Entrepreneur Show as I get it populated, libraries of things like blogs, tools, podcasts, and other free resources. My door is always open for comments, questions, or suggestions, or if you want to be a guest or know someone who would want to be a guest, or just to shoot the breeze, email me at dnagel, Nagel, @lakesradio.org, or dnagel@thesavvyentrepreneur.org, and I promise you'll always get a response back from me. Be sure to join me again next Saturday at 11 a.m. Central, noon Eastern. But until then, I'm Doris Nagel, wishing you happy entrepreneuring.